What's happening, APLers? Here with a week 4 preview. Got a couple new adders in for this week. They're not a big deal, but trying to provide a little more interest in in the previews. So we'll get to it. First matchup is Tank versus Solomon. So the newly acquired Geno Smith takes the field for the first time for Tank in a kind of a big matchup. It's only week 4, so it's not like can't say it's like a winner or winner go home must win matchup, none of that stuff. But the losers 1-3 at the bottom of the division. Solomon would be 0-3 in the division. Tank could be 1-2 in the division. Those are just make it harder to come back from to make the playoffs. So an important game for each of these guys to win. If we look back at the all-time matchup records here, Solomon leads the all-time series 22-21. So very close, but Solomon's still ahead. Win here from Tank would even her up 22-22. So take a look at the lineups here. So Solomon for most of the week had been rolling with Rogers and Garrett Wilson in the lineup. Now that Jordan Love is going to play, Solomon's rolling with Love in the Watson stack instead of the Rogers and Watson stack. I don't know, it doesn't project as the correct choice, but it's probably the correct choice. Rogers gets Denver this week. Denver's been like really good against the pass. The defense is like kind of for real. It's Baker Mayfield, so it's like nothing to get too excited about. But they shut down Baker Mayfield in week 1. In week 3, he had 198 points. Geno in week 1 had 249, and then they got like an off week against Justin Fields in the middle with who had 177. But it's a tough matchup for Rodgers. Both those teams want to run the ball about 1,000,000 times. So you're not going to get a ton of plays. And so the upside for Rodgers, I think, is capped. The upside for Love could be capped as well because Flores has been confounding quarterbacks with his defense. But Purdy did do some stuff against us. I think he had like 350, maybe a little more, like 354 or so against us. 359. And then Stroud, obviously, we all saw him get shut down last week. Indiana Jones is Daniel Jones in week 1, so it doesn't really count. But there's an opportunity that there's points scored for both sides of the ball here. And Love has to pass to make things happen. And I think he just has higher upside than Rodgers. So I think it's a right start. Christian Watson over Garrett Wilson is interesting too. We're just hoping for a deep ball, hoping that Love finds Watson and a bunch of routes here. Sure, why not? Garrett Wilson's going to get locked up by Patrick Surtain, so I think it's fine. It's a bold choice, but whatever. We're at the point where bold choices are probably just fine for Solomon. So the rest of the lineup here, Chuba Hubbard gets the Bengals at noon, 91 points is the projection here. It's fine. They're kind of like middle of the road so far through 3 games. Diggs against the Jags, that seems like a really, really nice spot. 77 points, I think, is low for Diggs because Tank Dell's out. So we saw last week that he can be the safety valve for CJ Stroud. So I think there's just going to be more volume there than it looks like. So 77 points, I think, is low. JJ against the Packers, just a fun matchup for Solomon to watch here. He's got players on both sides of the ball, hoping for a shootout. Jefferson's just good. He's just Jefferson, so you can always go crazy at any time. Jair Alexander is questionable. I don't know if that really matters. It's JJ. It doesn't matter who covers him. They're not going to really shut him down. So love that guy. Should be great. Kelsey, 94 points is what's projected. At some point, this guy has to do something. Is that real? I mean, he has 147 points total for the year so far, so 94 seems like a lot. The Chargers are going to want to try to slow the game down. The Chiefs seem to want to slow the game down too. Maybe they don't cover Kelsey as well as others and he gets loose, but I don't know. I'm not holding out hope. So kickers this week, I added in what their averages. I toned some guys down because of one huge game. but we got Butker at 94, and then the defense is fine. Projected a little lower than others, but who knows what happens there. So on the tank side of the ball, we have Geno against the Lions on Monday night. Seems like a good spot. Lions are good against the run. So they're going to want to pass the ball. They're giving up a little over 300 points a game against opposing quarterbacks. So Stafford got him pretty good in week 1 with 361. And then Baker and Kyler have been under 300. But the opportunity is there for Geno. This will start a tracker this week. It'll be, did Geno Smith outperform Sam Darnold? So that's like something we'll look at until Tua gets back to try to analyze the trade with Ryan to see, is this a good move? Running backs should be fine. James Cook has been really nice, all kind of like a all-purpose, all-world kind of guy. 97 points against the Ravens, a little bit lower because the Ravens defense can stymie guys at sometimes. They're number 3 against the run this year so far, and they got Pacheco in week 1, but otherwise they've kind of just held everybody in check. But they've played shitty players like Zamir White and the Cowboys in week 3. So I think there's opportunity for Cook. Kyron showed last week that he can do it all, even with nobody else helping him on offense. Bears have been getting beat up a little bit on the run. They got beat up by Pollard, and then Jonathan Taylor ripped them really good last week. So nice spot for Kyron. Zay Flowers against the Bills, 75 like seems about right. He just like catches a ton of passes right around the line of scrimmage and see what happens from there. So anticipate this being a higher scoring game, and you'll have opportunity. Jaden Reed is the offset for Love. Huge week 1 with Jordan Love. He's been fine since then. So Tank's just hoping for a big percentage of Jordan Love stuff to go to Jaden Reed and let's go to Christian Watson. That'll be a key thing to watch for in this matchup. And Kincaid against the Ravens is fine. They're still underwhelmed by what he's done so far this year. The Ravens have been getting crushed by tight end so far. 2 huge games against them. Brock Bowers went for 205. Ferguson went for 196. So if this is the week where Dalton Kincaid is going to do it, or if there's a week where Dalton Kincaid is going to do it, it might as well be this week. More, don't want to spoil the Josh Allen discussion too, but should be an okay passing week for the Bills. So add in the kicker, add in the defense, and we have Tank coming away with about 150 point favorite here. So I think Tank coasts 2-2. The Packers stack gets the flow treatment. Even though, like I said, I don't think it's the wrong choice for the week. I just think it's a tough spot for Love to come back and put up a big number. And this assumes Geno doesn't Kyler himself on Monday night for the win. So moving on to the next matchup, we have Sadeh versus Greg. So Greg with a big trade this week. We got his new guy there profiled. So today's 2-1. Greg's 0-3. And Greg's changed his name to Unmitigated Disaster. And we'll see if we can mitigate the disaster this week. All-time records today leads 25-13. So that's another good sign for Greg there. So we'll look at the matchups here. CJ Stroud against the Jags. I think the question of 317 seems about right. That's what Stroud has been doing, except for last week, where he did a lot less than that against the Vikings. So I think the question is just when do they have to stop passing because the Jaguars are really bad. I think that just limits Stroud's upside. Henry against the Bills, tough matchup. Bills are good at defense, less good at running back defense or run game defense. HN crushed them. ETN had 89. James Conner had 108. So seems like a good environment for Henry. Bijan, just solid. Always involved. 121, sure. Seems fine. Saints run defense is good. Saquon got him for 202 last week, so hard to say they're good, but 65 of his 147 yards rushing was on the one touchdown. Those big plays can happen. That's why we have Bijan and all that. But aside from that, everybody else has been held in check. So maybe there's some room for limited upside, but it's Bijan. It's fine. Juwan Jennings projected for 62 seems extremely low. Much lower than what he did last week. But the game against the Patriots could be an issue. Also could be an issue because Debo might play today or tomorrow, whenever you're listening to this. So, maybe Debo or maybe Sade swaps in Debo if Debo's back in here, but Fred's a little question mark here for Sade. Terry McLaurin in the fun game of the week, Cardinals Commanders, should be a lot of points. McLaurin finally appeared last week after 2 down weeks to start the season, so had 124 yards and 1 deep ball touchdown there. So Cardinals are kind of middle of the pack against the pass, but good environment. Probably better start than Brian Thomas or Jordan Wingington. So we're good. Neighbors had 123 on Thursday night. The guy just is targeted a ton. Really good. Hope his concussion isn't too serious. Laporta seems like a surprise play this week. Definitely seemed like he was going to be out with the low ankle sprain, but he's been practicing this week and seems like he's gonna play. So yet to score 100 points this year. Plays against the Seahawks, who got crushed by Hunter Henry, but otherwise have been playing teams with terrible tight ends. Played Denver and Miami otherwise. So I don't know if there's a lot to gain from the matchup there. So just hoping that Laporta's more involved than he has been in the first 3 weeks. And then kickers and defenses there, and their defense looks solid for both teams actually, but solid for today here. On the Greg side of the ball, Brock Purdy against the Patriots. Just don't feel like super great about that one. Patriots are supposed to be good at defense, but the last 2 weeks, 388 against Geno, 366 against Rodgers. So wheels up for Purdy. Maybe he'll have Debo back. And Greg is just hoping that the majority of his passing yards don't go to whoever Sade has for the start. Running back, we have an interesting choice here. So I have James Conner against Commanders. Good spot. I'm hoping for big things. 94 hopefully should be a floor. Commanders giving up over 100 points to running back every week so far this year. Those guys would include Rachaad White and Singletary and Zach Moss. They've all went for over 100. Last week they had Zach Moss for 122 and Chase Brown for 71. So we could definitely run on the Commanders, and James Conner's in a really nice spot. The second running back spot here, Greg is leaning into the matchup big time. So we have Jerome Ford in the starting lineup against the Raiders, who are the second worst rushing matchup in the league. They have also allowed somebody to go over 100 points every week so far this year. Dobbins with 162 in week 1, Henry 117 in week 2, and then Chuba Hubbard for 194 last week, and Miles Sanders for 52. So seems like a lock. You're going to go over 100 points, but we're putting Jonathan Taylor on the bench. Jonathan, the same guy that had 176 points last week, 137 points the week before, but he plays the Steelers. Tough matchup there. Bijan had 116 against him in week 1. Otherwise, they shut down Denver, and they shut down the Chargers quite a bit last week. Only 66 total running back points last week. I just think it's really hard to put Jonathan Taylor on the bench. He just seems like a guy that can go off, and Jerome Ford doesn't have the upside that Jonathan Taylor has. I think I'd roll with Taylor, understand the reasoning behind why Greg's doing it. Just hard to put that good of a guy on the bench. If you want to trade him, I'm interested, Greg. On the wide receiver side, we have Ayuk, who just needs to figure out that he's good again and then get less rusty. So Purdy to Ayuk, good for today. Be interesting to see who gets Christian Gonzalez here in the 49ers second, or the 40, which 49ers receiver gets Christian Gonzalez from the Patriots. So if Ayuk gets him, it's a tough matchup. But Gonzalez has been lockdown guy so far this year. If Debo plays, does Debo get him, or do they move Debo around enough that he doesn't? But may cap the upside a little bit. Odunze gets a start for Greg here. He had a really nice week last week. This week, we have Keenan Allen back in the mix. So hard to know what the upside is on Odunze. Just seems like he's the guy that they should be featuring. He's very talented. Did a lot last week with Keenan out. So hard to know what the breakdown's going to be there. So 62 points is the projection. Hoping for more. JSN is the new acquisition for Greg. 2 weeks ago, really good. Last week, less good. But we get the Lions this week. They are pass funnel. So should be lots of volume, should be lots of scoring. Good environment. Nice start. So another tracker. So we're gonna track Geno against Sam Darnold. Another tracker is gonna be, did Greg start the right tight end? So still that idea from Tank, kind of like still a shirt from Frank, still this idea from Tank. Did Greg start the right tight end this week? So we have Isaiah Likely going against the Bills. So are we Isaiah Likely or Mark Andrews? Who's it going to be? And are they really going to need to pass? Probably this week. They're going to need to keep up with Buffalo. Gesicki is on the lineup too. We're on the roster too. We're carrying 3 tight ends for Greg here, trying to mitigate our tight end disaster. Panthers seem to be pretty bad at defending the old tight end. They got Foster Moreau in week 1. They got Brock Bowers for 85 in week 3. So there's some consideration there too. Maybe that Cincy Carolina game is a shootout. Maybe not a shootout, just a lot of points scored. So I don't know what the right choice is. I don't think I can critique Isaiah Likely over Andrews or Gesicki. So just hope it plays out right for Greg. Greg does have one of the hottest kickers in the game here. Austin Seibert kicking for the Commanders against the Cardinals in a game that should be high scoring. So it's good. Zach Bond and Spillane are, I think, 1 and 2 this week in projected IDPs for whatever that's worth. So, but we add it all up and get Tank about an 80 point, 90 point win projected here. So I think the unmitigated disaster is still unmitigated. Oh, I don't know why I said Tank. Sade gets a win. So the Sunday night, Monday night performances lock it up for Sade here. He's going to have Laporta on Monday night, and then Sunday night, Henry and Tucker going against JSN and Likely on Sunday and Monday night. So next matchup is the super team against me. So you get some Jahmyr Gibbs and some EJ Speed here. These are the key players of the matchup this week. So super team is 2-1. I am 1-2. And super team just looking to put week 1 way in their rear view. Put me way in their rear view mirror with a win this week, and really just have to worry about Daggy and Corey before winning the division. All-time record here. I'm leading the series 19 to 16. So take a look at the matchups here. So Joe Burrow gets the Panthers. This is the new smash spot of the week. Joe Burrow, best quarterback matchup of the week, and in a smash spot. Bengals are really bad at defense. So since he's going to need to score a lot, Panthers pretty bad at defending the quarterback. They've played like nobody good so far, and they're still giving up 300 points a game. They've played Derek Carr, Justin Herbert, and Gardner Minshew. So it's just not great. So I think Burrow is going to be big. Also for us, you get Jahmyr Gibbs against the Seahawks. 107 points projected there. Seahawks are okay at defending the run, but Gibbs is good for 100 points. And if he can rip off a big one, it goes for more. So feel pretty solid. I would feel pretty solid there for Ross. Jordan Mason, Patriots. They're better against the run than most. They're like 10th so far. It's just Mason's getting all the volume. It's a good bet to do a lot of good things. So 115 points, one of the higher running back totals for the week. Also smash start of the week here is Mr. Nico Collins. It's the Jaguars. Ooh, sorry, take that back. I had him switch to somebody else. I just think Nico Collins is in a really good spot. The Jaguars run a lot of man defense, and Nico Collins shreds man defense. And they don't have Tank Dell, and I just think they're going to score a ton of points. So really good spot for Nico. Higgins, I don't know. I just never think that he's really that good. They're still playing the Panthers. Allegedly, he looked good last week, even though the stat sheet didn't show it. It's fine. Waddle against the Titans is uncomfortable to start there, but it sounds like Olave is going to play, so Olave will get penciled in against the Falcons here instead of Waddle. Project for 20, 25 more points than Waddle. Be a fine spot. Brock Bowers, sorry, spoiler alert, Brock Bowers smash start of the week here at tight end. So number one projected tight end. It's the Raiders. They're not great at throwing the ball, but we don't have Devontae Adams playing this week. So they got to throw the ball to somebody. The rest of the receivers are mostly trash. So who else are they going to throw to? They're going to scheme it to Bowers. Bowers got a big kickers and defense are fine. Looking at my side of the ball, Dak had like 192 points, like I don't know, like midway through the second quarter and finished with 282. So just a really disappointing way that game played out. They didn't get the ball back until like really close to the end of the first half. And then the Giants could not score a touchdown. And the Cowboys defense could not get off the field quickly at all. So just a marathon of field goals for the Giants. Cowboys never needed to pass, so we get 282. Needed a bigger game than that to have a chance against the super team. Achan on Monday night against the Titans. Same concern as Waddle, just that offense overall with Skylar Thompson at quarterback is concerning. It sounds like Tyler Huntley might play this week instead of that, so maybe that helps. But I mean, we're counting on Snoop Huntley to do better things. So don't feel like it's the best spot here. Najee against the Colts, I do feel like that's a good spot. He's currently on the IR. I have Dobbs here, but that's the starter as long as there's nothing weird tomorrow morning. The Colts cannot stay on the field ever because their quarterback can't throw the ball in bounds most of the time. So they get run on a lot. Mixon ripped them. Week 1, Josh Jacobs ripped them. In week 2, the Bears don't have a sustainable running back, so they didn't last week, but really good spot for Najee. Another really good spot for Marvin Harrison. Commanders suck at defending the pass, so I like the upside there too. Drake London, I just don't feel like I can trust for too much. I don't know if Marshawn Lattimore is really anything to worry about, but could get shadowed by him. The Falcons just don't pass enough for him to really be formidable. Could go with Jameson Williams on Monday night. Might make the switch. Not sure. Rashee Rice, A+. Chargers aren't my favorite matchup. Probably not going to need to score a ton of points, but Rice has been the safety blanket for Mahomes. Been good. Dallas Goedert is the guy that needs to go crazy for me to have a chance here. I'm not sure who's going to catch the ball for the Eagles other than Goddard, but the Bucks know that too. So you'd think that they'd be prepared to stop him. They've given up like nothing to tight ends so far this year. They played Ertz in week 1 for 59 points, Laporta in week 2 for 28, and then Denver last week, which doesn't really count. So they've been tough against the tight end. I just need a big game here because he's the only guy that can catch passes with Devonta and AJ Brown out. I also need a bunch of field goals. So today's CJ Stroud drives stall out so Bear Baron can rip some field goals. So this projects out to be really close, actually. You get Ross winning by 8 points. Nico or sorry, Nico, Olave in for Waddle is gonna, bump it up to a little bit more, but still super close. I think that the Dak's second half is just too much to overcome. He didn't have to do anything in the second half. If he scores 100 more points, I feel a lot better about my chances here. So I think that the super team moves on to a 3-1 record, and I'm going to 1-3 with the matchup against Douche looming in week 5. Next matchup is Corey against Douche. So Corey's 2-1, Daggy's 2-1, both in the same division. Big matchup. Who's going to be 3-1 and in a tie for first with the super team? Daggy leads the all-time record or all-time matchup record here is 5-3. And so look at Corey's guys here. Mahomes 313 or 312 is the projection for Mahomes. Not sure how I feel about that. Mahomes just they look like the same guys that they did last year. They don't have to throw the ball a whole lot. Chargers played Bryce Young in week 2, so their overall numbers look really good because he scored 98 points. Otherwise, they've been giving up right around 300. So 312 seems fine. There, it doesn't feel like a game that is a shootout that they're going to need to score a lot of points. Josh Jacobs against the Vikings. It's fine at 92 points. A little concerned there with Jacobs because Emmanuel Wilson played a lot last week and was effective. And LaFleur has shown his hand that he likes to run 2 running backs. So volume might not be as high for Jacobs, and our defense has been good. So maybe not the upside for Jacobs that's there. I mean, the Vikings are good against the run. Jordan Mason got us for 125, but otherwise, Singletary. I guess the Texans don't really matter last week. Jacobs is the best running back we've seen so far, but I think the volume split will be there. Carson Steele is fine as a running back too. Hoping for more there, but he's fine. Wide receiver Corey would like to have AJ Brown back, but guys are looking okay. Amari Cooper did some stuff last week finally, so he gets inserted into the starting lineup this week. And against a Raiders secondary that they've gotten beat. They got beat by Deontay Johnson for 150 last week. Zay Flowers had 118 against them, so I think it's a fine matchup. You're just wondering, is there a lot of upside? Can Deshaun Watson actually find a receiver? Mooney's been targeted quite a bit, like more than Drake London, I think, in the last couple games. 111 and 74, 111 2 weeks ago, 74 points last week. Saints are fine against the pass, kind of middle of the road. So just hoping a lot of volume goes there to Mooney. DJ Moore. Just want more to go to DJ Moore. 79 points is fine. The Rams really bad at defending the pass, but the Colts are really bad at defending the pass last week when we hit 80 points out of DJ Moore. So I think it just depends what kind of game this becomes. Do the Bears need to pass a lot like they did last week? If they do, this is a good spot. 156 or 159 for Jameson Williams in week 1. 174 for Marvin Harrison in week 2. 246 for Jawan Jennings last week. They've been giving up big games every week, so why not DJ Moore this week? Tight end Kittle back alive, playing for 49ers. Good things for Corey. 100 points is fine. Is it a good Kittle game? Is he featured? What is it? 100 points is what we'll go with. No way of knowing what's going to happen. Kickers and defenses are added in. On the douche side of the ball, Kyler Murray is in a great spot. Commanders, as we talked about for the last couple of weeks, they're really bad. That defense in general, really bad against the pass. 417 for Burrow last week, 414 for Baker. Daniel Jones had 266. So in real quarterback terms, that's like a 350 point game. So really nice spot for Kyler. They're also bad against the run. So Cardinals have shown if they get ahead, they will run the ball instead of just passing. So it's only concern I think that caps Kyler's upset. Otherwise, it's a great spot. Saquon would be the running back smash of the week. I'm getting my little smash graphic to come up here. He's been ridiculously good. 122 is the low. Otherwise, we're at 194 and 202. The Bucks are giving up 181 points a game. Gibbs over 113, Bijan 112. And then last week they played Denver, who can't decide who wants to run the ball, but collectively they did okay. Just a really good spot for Barkley. Brees against the Broncos, not that great of a spot, but he's Brees Hall. So it's always a good day. He's been over 100 points every week so far this year, giving up a lot of volume to Braylon Allen. Broncos are actually not super great. They got beat up by Ken Walker. Always had a lot of split backfield, so nobody's put up one big game. The other 2 weeks they haven't put up big games against them, but they can be run on. It's Brees. He can go nuts any week. The receiving crew here, I think, is how Daggy planned it to start the year. You get Evans playing against the Eagles. Good spot. It does seem like it's the Godwin show more this year than the Evans show, but could change any week. DK against the Lions. Should be a fun game where they need to score, need to pass. Lions, we've said a million times, they're good at defending the run, not good at defending the pass. So good spot for DK. Amon-Ra does his thing against the Seahawks. So 2 opposing receivers there. It should be fun to watch. And then Dalton Schultz, it just kind of sucks. So 67 points seems fine. Just need Evan Ingram back here for Daggy. Schultz has 35, 44, 24. Jags haven't given up anything to tight ends this year. The only tight end they play that's worth a note is Dalton Kincaid, so maybe they are vulnerable. I just haven't seen it yet. And maybe with Tank Dell out, there's a few more targets that goes Schultz's way, but I don't know. Not a lot of upside. Defense looks fine. And Aubrey had 100 on Thursday night and missed like a 51-yarder there late in the game, so it could have been a 150. I think we got a little over 100-point margin here, so I think Douche cruises to 3-1 record here. The running backs are the number 1 and 2 projected running backs this week. So I think that those 2 guys, coupled with Kyler's matchup against the Commanders and his talent, is just too much for Corey's dudes to overcome. All right, last matchup here is Jake versus Ryan. So get the newly acquired Aaron Jones gets to get in a starting lineup for APL this week. Jake's 2-1, Ryan's 2-1. It's kind of like we talked about Tank and Solomon in this division matching up. Somebody's going to be in last for sure here. I think this is similar and also similar to Daggy and Corey. Whoever wins 3-1, I won 2-2. Could be a key head-to-head win as we approach playoff time. The overall head-to-head record does not look good for Ryan. So Jake leads the overall series 24-12. All right, look at the lineups here. Things look good for Ryan. Lamar gets the Bills on Sunday night. Lamar has been great so far this year. Bills pass defense has been good. Really gotten beat up by anybody. They haven't really played anybody. So Kyler in week 1 for 250. It's fine. Kyler was doing his thing in the first half, and then they kind of shut it down because they were ahead by a bunch, and then they didn't need to pass. So the ability was there. The next 2 weeks they played Miami, that's when Tua got hurt in the middle of the game, and then they played Trevor Lawrence last week. So I wouldn't write this one off because the Bills have been good. I just think the game's going to be fun, and Lamar's going to need to make plays, and that's what he does. So, should be a good spot. Jake gets Rico Dowdle, or gets him in the lineup on Thursday night. He gets 82 points. He gets a nice 15-yard receiving touchdown to get a good chunk of those points. I think 82 is what you're hoping for out of Rico Dowdle. That's more than he has scored so far this season in any week. So got to be happy with the 82 points there for running back 2 for Jake. Kamara looks like he's going to play. He's been good when he plays so far this year, so I like that one. Should be fine. Falcons been tough against the run, but Kamara's had 130 points. Has been his lowest point total so far this season. So guy's going to score points. Tyreek, 72. Just kind of sucks that he doesn't have a quarterback because he's a really fun player. Hopefully, maybe Snoop Huntley plays, makes it more fun. If it's Skylar Thompson, it's just not fun. We saw it last week. DeAndre Hopkins also in the same game. It's not fun either. With Devontae out, just makes Devontae get in the starting, or sorry, DeAndre get in the starting lineup. Hit 99 last week against the Packers, so I guess we're hoping that he can do something similar again this week. Does it feel like a lot of upside? And then Christian Kirk actually woke up last week, caught 8 passes on 10 targets, had 87 points after having 31 points total in the first 2 weeks. You get the Texans in the game where they should be behind, should have to throw the ball. So fine. 64 seems kind of low, but when you look at the numbers, maybe it's fine. Freiermuth gets a started tight end. We'd really like that Njoku back here to jump in the lineup. Freiermuth, just hard to get excited because the Steelers just want to run the ball all the time, but they're going to have the ball a lot and potentially need to score. So it's fine. Freiermuth went 58, 82, 70. So 72 seems fine as a projection here. That's probably what Jake's hoping for. Just, catch 4 passes for 30 or 40 yards. Call it good. Kickers and defenses are fine. The Saints kicker has been really good. Gets the Falcons this week, so still inside. Ryan's side looks pretty fun. Josh Allen against the Ravens. 3-3-4 is the projection. I think the concern with Josh Allen this year is that the Bills would prefer to run the ball a million times and win games that way. But that wasn't the story last week. They came out and passed the ball a ton in the first half, and it was really good. Ravens are the worst in the league against the pass so far. They're averaging 371 points allowed per game. Ripped by Dak last week for 474. That was in a comeback effort. Don't know if that matters too much. Gardner Minshew at 315 and Mahomes at 326. So it's like a really, really good spot for Josh Allen. Really close to giving Josh Allen the smash start of the week, but went Burrow instead. ETN against the Texans, fine. Just think that they split so much that he just doesn't have the opportunity to go nuts. Texans have been good against the run so far this year. Shut down JT in week 1. The Bears trio didn't do anything against them in week 2. Aaron Jones crushed him last week with 173. So maybe there's a chance there. Aaron Jones against the Pack. Ryan's newly acquired guy. Packers defense is middle of the road, 16th so far. Saquon got him week 1, Jonathan Taylor week 2, and then they shut down the Titans last week. So I think that's a good spot. Maybe some motivation playing against his old team. That really matters too much. It's going to matter more. We can scheme him open and get some big plays going for him. But 110 seems like a good number. Good chance to go over that. The receivers all look pretty good. Jamar Chase against the Panthers. He was alive again last week. Was it the Commanders matchup that helped him out, or just finally where he gets rolling for the season? So it should be a good offensive environment there. Godwin against the Eagles. That is my smash start of the week. It was Godwin here, if I can get my shit to work. Godwin has been good. They got shut down by the Broncos last week, but Godwin still managed to get 79 points. 144 against the Lions, 111 against the Commanders. Eagles are giving up 224 points a game to opposing wide receivers. Crushed by Jaden Reed for 215 in week 1. Darnell Mooney got him for 111 with London with 80 in week 2. And then last week, Olave goes for 112 against them. So really good spot for Godwin. He's going to get a ton of targets, and he's scored a touchdown every week. So I really like the spot. Deontay Johnson alive last week with Andy Dalton at the helm, playing against the Bengals, who can't stop the pass. So as long as he's healthy, sat out some practice this week, but he's supposed to play. Seems like a really good spot. Ferguson got 105 on Thursday night, which is solid. They're at tight end, and kickers and defenses are about equal between the two. So I think that Ryan gets the win here. 98-point favorite. Ryan gets a big division win, and I think that the receivers are the difference. So that Chase, Godwin, Deontay against Tyreek Hopkins and Kirk, I think this is a big advantage that decides this one. So that was way longer than I thought it was going to be. But here's the summary. Tank gets a win over Solomon. Today's over Greg. Super team beats me. Daggy over Corey. And Ryan over Jake. So that's it. Talk to you guys on Wednesday next week with the little longer preview. Talk to you later.